Another thing, I was just thinking that on Thursday, I'm going to say, wait, hey, where y'all go? Oh, we here? Are we here? Okay, yeah, we here. Listen, I'm here to welcome you guys to another edition of On the Radar. We have guests here today. We have 78 points of articulation. And it's we're gonna have a great time today. Where's the rest of the crew? Because right now I'm fresh off the jet, sharper than Gillette, the best you can get. I'm loose as a goose. I'm fly than Beetlejuice, and voila! Everybody shows up. You see how we do that? See, we're in the building. I don't know if y'all know that. We got Ferg, we got Ralph, we got Vinny, we got Trey, we got 78 points of articulation. We're in the building. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on a Monday?
Good. I'm great.
Very good.
Damn, that's a lot of energy.
Yeah, a lot of energy, man. A lot of energy.
Yeah. That Beetlejuice.
I love the Beetlejuice point.
He did throw in a Beetlejuice on us out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That really came out of nowhere. I love it.
Yeah, so like Marcus was saying, 78 points. Thanks for joining us. I know it's like
my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
9 or 10 in the morning over there where you're at. Just we've been wanting you on the show for a very long time. So again, I'm excited for what you got to present today and all that good stuff. So thanks for coming on, man.
Like I said, my pleasure. And Trey mentioned that when you guys first started doing this, I was there. Yeah, I really like what you guys are doing and pushing, like mixing it all up, bringing all the various things in. Having a show like this is great. Been fucking with you since the day one.
Yeah, man. Do you want to kind of give yourself?
I forgot to ask that. You can swear. Right?
I think you're all right.
Yeah, dude. I promise you can say anything you want to on this show.
Right.
Wait, you want to know if we can swear? Shit. There you go.
Shit. All right.
Feel free.
I forgot to ask. Some people don't like that. So.
No, we are not woke. Okay. We are not woke on this show.
For real.
Do you want to kind of tell us what your background is, or just
well, I'm an architect by training. I have an architectural office, and I've been into comics and toys since I was a little kid. And yeah, my dad was into comics, different kind of comics though, like Prince Valiant and that kind of shit. But he was always like, he always supported it. And even though my mom complained and stuff like that, but yeah, he's like, one day this stuff is going to become big leagues. And hey, look at it now, right? So
yeah,
good. MCU, DCU, all that. So yeah, man.
Very cool. Well, again, thanks for joining us, and we're excited for what you have to show us in a bit. First and foremost, we're gonna get this show going here. So obviously, a lot of us we all brought together by comics and cards, I guess you could say. I was kind of thinking about kind of the pandemic and what kind of caught me into collecting again, and kind of in a more, I guess you could say, more specific level with nothing going on and everything. And the one property that I picked up organically, I should say, and I feel like the rest of the comic community has picked up pretty well, is Strange Academy #1. I haven't really talked about it on our show specifically, but this was definitely my favorite book out of the pandemic, quote unquote. Great story. The art's okay. Like I don't think it's like Ramos is a pretty good artist. He's not my favorite, but the way that the story is told and the art, it works for me. What I thought was kind of interesting about this book as well is my nephew dug it as well, and he's not a comic book fan at all, and he attributed it just because of the magic kind of portion about it too. There's rumors about MCU and all that stuff. I don't foresee that happening anytime soon, but just the story and being an original kind of story, that I feel like this is, out of all the first appearances and all of like just the stuff going on during the pandemic with comics, I thought this was like the one book, if you're gonna buy anything as far as recent wise, this is the one to go with. What do you guys think?
Third, I got the 1 in 50 variant, the Opina, and this was the first expensive NFT I technically bought was the Strange Academy Secret Rare. I think you're 100% dead on. There's about 9 different first appearances in that book, and that's the thing is people going to have to be very, very patient when it comes to comic speculation now. You're not going to get the instant satisfaction or gratification of books going up in value a lot right now, because there's nothing that's going to cause them to go up in value. You're going to have to wait for comic writers and artists to start drawing comics and writing good comics again and creating content that's going to make readers want to go buy comics to find out more about the characters instead of these MCU, DC, fucking CW, Netflix bumps that's been going on for the last 10 years. I think that's over with. And I, honest to God, hope that Marvel doesn't race the Strange Academy, the new guys, into anything too quickly and sweep the property up, because I think if they let it marinate, it's got a chance to be a huge book down the road.
Yeah. I mean, anybody else does anybody else have this book? I have the cover A and the J. Scott Campbell. Opena is the one I want the most. I mean, the Breakfast Club homage.
I
definitely kind of went heavy on this when it came out. I just felt like it was a cool property. I'll be honest, I bought some of the OA from it too. I bought some of the OA from Strange Academy number 2. What's it called? Scotty Young, I think, was saving. Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos. Humberto Ramos was the one who did it. So Humberto Ramos was saving the first issue for himself. So I couldn't think of that. So I did get a page from number 2. And then I end up winning like all the variants from the Drunken Chat Son Wheel of Names.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, no, I think it's a really cool book. It's had a lot of hype since it came out, and I think it's only kind of increased since that time. And yeah, with all the rumors and everything, I think it's really interesting. So and it's kind of a different premise, kind of attacking it from a different angle. So I'm totally into this book. I mean, this and some of the other ones that Trey was talking about last episode, I think are the ones that really came out of the whole pandemic, for sure.
Here to expand on Ferd's point, this is the list of first appearances that are in Strange Academy 1. You have Emily Bright, you have Shaylee Moonpetal, you have Alvi, you have Iric, you have Guslog, Doyle Doramumu, which is probably the biggest character in that as of right now, Zoe LaVue, Calvin Morris, Desi, German, Toth. That's 9 first appearances in a book. That you don't get that kind of value, especially the Doyle Doramumu character is really, really cool. That's the son of Dormammu, or however the fuck you say his name. I'm probably butchering the shit out of it, but
Dormammu.
Dormammu.
I like Dormammu.
I'll throw a little extra ooh in there.
That boy Trey said Doramumu.
Somebody's gonna draw a picture with Dora with a fucking muumuu on. And
that's what I'm saying. Dora, right?
Like this dyslexic, non-speaking motherfucker from Oklahoma.
Dora's muumuu.
But and it's kind of gonna go into what I'm gonna talk about here in a second. But you gotta start thinking about value when it comes to first appearances and what books have, the shining 2 examples I can think of are Giant Size X-Men and Iron Man 55 that have multiple big giant first appearances in it. You get Drax and you get Thanos. And then the Giant Size X-Men, you got Colossus, you got Storm, you have Nightcrawler, Colossus. I believe there's another one I'm leaving out, but I mean, there's a reason that those books don't.
Warpath? Was he in there? Was that a first for him?
I think you're right.
I mean, Proudstar.
Proudstar, John. But you know what I mean? To consider that those are the ones that you got to start. I mean, when have you seen Giant Size X-Men go down? Doc Joe, perfect example. DC Presents 26. what has, especially with all the news that basically the Teen Titans are going to take over in the DC universe as the big team going forward. That
Wow.
DC Presents 26 is going to do nothing but go up in value. It's got what? It's got the first appearance of, is it Raven? It's got the first appearance of oh God, what's the redheaded chick? Starfire. Thank you. Who else is in that book? Y'all talk for a second. I'll look that up.
Yeah, and another thing, I ain't falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I just want to throw that out there. He said, "Y'all talk for a second while I look up."
Just as going on the Strange Academy with Ferd mentioned that he gave it to someone younger than us and they enjoyed it. I have a feeling or a hunch, like because of Ramos's style of art, kind of borderlines into anime. Like the energy, the way he composes his pages, the motions and things like that. Mm-hmm. I always thought, like, if Marvel wants to go that direction with the anime, which in a business, it does make sense. Like they'd start dipping into there, just like Star Wars Visions. This actually would be the property for me to do an anime. Look at the success of My Hero Academia. Right? And these kinds of formats where it's a school and there's kids training with special powers. Jujutsu Kaisen is the same thing. Like this is their version of that, and the art lends itself to animation. And that it's serialized. Now we have season 2 just finishing in the comics, so to speak. You can do these seasonal shows.
Yeah, and what kind of hits me with this guy is it came out during the pandemic. Like literally the date on the issues, March 2020. So I don't know what stores were open in April in where I live, and then the paper quality is kind of tough. So this is a tough, as far as a collector's perspective, like it's a tough 9.8 also. So, and there was a ton of covers. I just never.
That was the thing that put me off. There's so many covers, man.
Yeah. So.
And it goes up to like a 5th printing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes up pretty high.
Prints,
there are a lot of prints.
But like, just to touch on what you mentioned, Ferd, from everything that's come out, this seems like the easiest to adapt into a series, like a Disney Plus series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd like them to do the anime. I'd like them to try it out.
And I like the anime too. And to be honest with you, that was one of the things that I thought DC did better than anyone 5 to 6 years ago.
The animation?
The Super Sun stuff. It was dark, it was gritty, it was well done, it was well written. Everyone enjoyed them. I remember the Super Sun stuff. I was partial to it, but the Batman stuff. Everyone that they did was
the
really
Justice
well
League
done.
Dark was okay. Not bad as well.
That was really, really good.
Yeah.
And the way that they always, seem to spotlight Constantine. Seemed like Constantine showed up in almost every one of them, which everyone liked Constantine. And I actually enjoyed like the Raven Damian, relationship. I just thought they did a really good job, and I think people were interested in comics because of those animated movies. So if Marvel were to do something very similar and exactly what you're talking about, I think it'd be a home run for them.
Yeah,
I think the cosplay for this would actually blow up too. I didn't go to WonderCon, but I'd be interested to see, if people showed up in Strange Academy attire.
Dude, I heard WonderCon was a fucking shit show. No, I heard
or a bad way.
I heard it was a bad.
Nobody went.
I talked to Big. I think a lot of people went, but I talked to Big Leg, and he bought 6 books. And like 4 of them were some $4 to $5 Spawn books. He said that there were nobody buying any books, and he said that the books that were getting sold were severely underpriced. He goes, books were underpriced from eBay, and people still weren't buying them. He said it was a pretty bad indicator of what the industry's going through right now.
Ferd, didn't you put something on your Instagram the other day, like about how you got something super cheap and
oh yeah,
you were wondering what's going on?
Yeah, it was my Swordmaster obsession. I got a 1 in 50 that should go for like $60, and I got it for 25 with shipping, like after shipping and taxes. So I was
Does the guy know what he was selling?
I think
Did he
so.
list it right? Did he? If he listed it right, then he knows that he got burned.
I think so, because like it was on Sunday at like 6 o'clock.
Really? All right.
You know,
Tease
so
it,
yeah, so I mean, he shipped it off, so I
Oh,
was
he
kind
did?
of
All
like,
right. Yeah, that's good.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
probably
I lost the book. I didn't know where it is. One of
yeah,
those
yeah.
stories.
No, it wasn't one of those. So I was just like, oh shoot, you know. But I mean, who knows?
There were multiple people in the Discord this week in the comments that said that they won auctions on really hard to find books that they've been looking for with 0 other bidders other than themselves. And here's back to the DC Presents 26. It's the first appearance of the Changeling, aka Gar Logan. Most of him know him as Beast Boy, but I guess that they've done this new Changeling name to him. Cyborg, Vic Stone, and Raven, and Starfire.
Yeah, and it was also officially the first appearance of the new Teen Titans.
Yep.
Very cool. Trey, you got some X-Men tea leaves low hanging fruit for us.
I've talked about these books before, but in the same kind of vein that Ferg's talking about is I think X-Men, just to show, I think that this, other than Strange Academy, is the best speculation book that money can buy right now. X-Men 12 Volume 5. It has the first appearance. Let me get my list up because it's got a big first appearance list. The main appearance in it is the guy called White Sword. He's an Omega level mutant. That he is the most powerful healing mutant that there's been known to do. He can literally resurrect people from the dead. And when he resurrects you, you belong in his army. So he has 100 army. He has 100 people in his army, and they're all people that he resurrected, and they have to fight for him. And he was huge in the X of Swords event. Absolutely huge. He's coming back in X-Men Red number 12, which for that right there, I don't know if you can pull it up.
X-Men Red number 12. Hold on a second.
It was that last slide I sent to you.
Okay, hold on. Sorry about that. Let me get this.
No, you're good, man. I'm bouncing around quite a bit. But this book has so many first appearance of Araki mutants from the Araki series.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's got the first appearances of Genesis, which is Apocalypse's wife, the first appearance of the High Council of Araco. It has the Summoners of Ament first appearance, the White Sword first appearance, which I mentioned, and the other one that's really, really exciting is Iska the Unbeaten. She's a mutant that she's never been beaten at anything. Like her power is to not get beat.
Yeah, not get beat. That's pretty cool.
And it's pretty awesome. Cool. In X-Men Red, there's some really cool stuff that goes on where they use Iska's powers against her to get what they want.
Yeah, that
like
was
Magneto.
Cool. That was cool. Yeah.
That spot, tell how cool was that fucking
That was cool.
Spot?
That was dope.
It was one of the cooler moments in X-Men, and it's one of those fun stories. But I paid $50 for this, and I'm telling you, this White Sword guy in 10 years is going to be a huge character. He's just too fucking cool not to be.
Yeah.
And he's been gone since the end of X of Swords. He left with Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen to go back to the Ament dimension, I believe, where it was. But just this last week, there was a notice that in X-Men Red number 12 that he's coming back. And he says that the first and 100th person in his army were killed by this powerful mutant, and they're going to tell the tale of how it happened. And that mutant that killed the 1 in 100 is coming to Araco or Mars, depending on how you want to look at it. So that's exciting. But the other thing in the X-Men Red 12, let me see if I can pull this up here. Tell me if you can see this.
In the meantime, Ryan Adams is asking.
You see that?
Which? Ryan Adams is asking which printing is the one to get. Focus on first printing because there was a second and a third of that X-Men 12.
I'll be honest with you. I got about 20 of the first. I got about 12 of the second print raw, and I have yet to buy one of the third prints. The third print seemed to be a little bit more difficult to find for whatever fucking reason. But like I said, in a couple months, X-Men Red number 12 comes out. And as you can see, the white sword's back. He's at the top of the page.
Yeah.
But the other character that's really, really interesting is the one at the bottom. And his name is John Ironfire. His first appearance was in the Storm Brotherhood of Mutants, Sins of Sinister spinoff. He basically he's Storm's #1 lieutenant in the 100 years in the future. And a lot of people kind of thought he was a one-off character and he wasn't going to be much. And then you look to come to find out that he was a big enough character that they decided to insert him back in the present timeline and put him on the cover. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with him. A lot of people are speculating that he's going to be Storm Aurora's new love interest. And that's one of the reasons that their relationship in the future is as strong as it is. But it's another one of those mutant books that have multiple first appearances, and I think that they're going to continue to build over the years the same way they do with mutants. It's not going to be a fast one. This book's not going to be a $300 or $400 book in the next 18 months. This is going to be a longer play, which I'm okay with. The other one that people need to, I've talked about this one too, is the planet-sized X-Men. It's the one where basically after the Hellfire Gala, they terraform Mars with about 6 of the most powerful Omega level mutants that there are.
That was a dope issue.
And one of the cool things about this one is it has multiple first appearances of some more of the Araki fucking mutants. Lactuca the Knower, Sobuner the Depths, and Xylo. And Lactuca the Knower is one of the cooler characters that's come out in the last couple years as well. She has the ability to know where everything is in all the multiverses and everything. Like she's able to pinpoint and know where everything is. Like if you want to know where Thanos is at any point in time, she's one of the only people that know. And her powers have come in really, really fucking cool a couple of times in X-Men Red and a couple of other things. But again, this is one of those ones that has multiple first appearances, which I like. Like I said, if you're going to spend some money on speculation, you might as well, stack the deck with as many people as you can in these issues. The one to get, there's a 1 in 25 variant that has Storm on the cover, and that's the one to get. You can get the 9/8 for about 150 to 160. The regular ones are not that one right there. I believe it's a Copal.
Yeah, Olivier.
But again, there's look at those birds going some dick.
They might as well while you guys are here.
What's the number?
Make sure your credit card shit's off there.
There you go.
But,
I just offered $30 for it.
In the same vein that Fern was talking about, speculations change. And I've talked bad about speculation because I don't think people are speculating correctly anymore. This is more old school speculation. I think down the road, these books are going to continue to increase in value when more and more stories come out highlighting some of these mutants.
Hey, Trey, do you think, because Hickman wrote that first book, right? That first book you mentioned.
Sir?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think those characters show up in that? Doesn't he have like a crossover event, Ultimate Invasion, coming up in the summer?
It's going to be interesting. Invasion? See, I've heard rumors about I have no idea, but I know that Mars falls at some point in time during this Hellfire Gala. I mean, Vinny was told that something crazy happens in the Hellfire Gala at the Comics Pro event. And a couple of the things I've read online and a couple of the other forums were that Orcus finally does something that causes Mars to blow up and basically starts the fall of X. So who knows what Hickman could do? Hickman could very easily put a lot of those people into that world. Yeah. I just don't know. The one thing I have read, though, that the center point of the Ultimate is Miles Morales. That's going to be the focal point. And basically, and I talked about that. I mean, if you read Secret Wars 2, that's the whole reason they did Secret Wars 2 is to get Miles into the 616. They tried and tried and tried, but the only way that they could actually get him over is through that Secret Wars event when they all got on that ship and the whole 9 yards when Doom took over. So I think this is going to be Hickman's way of cleaning all that up and making a little bit more streamlined for the availability of movies and things down the road, which we know that's coming. Miles is going to be in a live action in the next, I'd say 3 years. I'd bet pretty heavily on that. So
For that suit,
Hickman doesn't miss. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I think with Marvel having the issues that they're having right now, I mean, especially, I mean, like I said, guilty until proven innocent. But this Jonathan Majors information that came out this weekend, I mean, that's not helping Marvel out at all.
No.
And with the failure of Ant-Man and Thor, and I can't think of the other movie. I mean, Black Panther 2 was decent, but it was nowhere near what Black Panther 1 is.
No. And it didn't, it was like almost a standalone thing. It was its own bubble.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is,
it was weird.
I don't know. I guess Sony owns Miles. I don't know how that works, to be honest with you. I obviously with the Edge of the Spider-Verse anime stuff, I don't know exactly how that.
Yeah,
it's
confusing.
And if that's the case, Sony's gonna fuck it up. Sony will put him in a Venom movie and just totally ruin it. But Sony or Marvel will rush a Miles live action because I think that they realize that they're going to have to start putting characters that people like again. There's a reason that the Avengers, that first stage of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, did as well as it did. It had Hulk, it had Iron Man, it had Captain America, it had the biggest villain in the whole Marvel Universe in Thanos. All things that were easy on the eyes, people knew a little bit about. Then they go in this phase 2, and no one knows what the fuck's going on. I mean, seriously, I read
D-list characters.
Yeah, and I don't give a shit when anyone says Kane's a D-list villain, and no one's excited about Kane. If you're excited about Kane, I don't believe you.
Yeah, I think it was more excited about Jonathan Majors playing Kang than.
Yeah, I agree with that, man.
I'm more excited for Creed 3 if it's any constellation of Jonathan Majors.
I'm with Ferd on that deal, but I think a majority of the people want to see Doctor Doom.
Yep.
And they want to see some X-Men. I mean, that's me. That's obviously.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to sell movies.
Doesn't the X-Men kind of fall into what you're saying, though? Like giving people what they want?
That's what I mean. So I think that they're going to rush. I know that they've had this plan, which is not, rushing's not good, especially in the movie universe.
It's never good, man.
But if Disney stock keeps shit in bed like it has for the last 18 months, they're going to get desperate and they're going to start rushing some of these titles that they had for further down the line to get them back on the screen.
Trey, real quick, I want to share that third print that you were talking about in X-Men 12 for Mr. Ryan there, but
it's pretty design.
That's pretty cool.
I like those. Cool. I don't know.
I like it with this one just because of the red, but I know what you mean. The other ones are kind of weird.
I'm not.
The thing about these second and third prints is the reason that the perfect example, the Captain Marvel 17 second print works is because it's a completely different cover that highlights that character.
Yeah.
So I think people have gotten, and that's the thing, Marvel's gotten weird. They're doing second print ratio variants and shit like that. So it gets real convoluted. But I just don't think that the second and third prints have the same punch and muster that they did 10 years ago, because there's really nothing in that second print. I mean, it may be shorter printed than that first one, but what would make you want to buy that second print over the first print?
Yeah, I think I
still don't get that. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the other thing is people are expecting those second and third prints now, so it's like, so if people missed the boat on the first print. Yep. Okay, let me just let me put an order in with my shop for, heavier with the second or third print and try to get that, I mean, it works from time to time in that, the stores are not always ordering heavy on these second and third prints, but if a book is hot out the gate, they're probably going to order semi-heavy on it.
Right.
Yeah, and those guys are almost trying to get that print with the lowest count, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the second, it's the third. Oh, it's the fourth one now that has the lowest print count. That's the one to have. Yeah. I don't know. I used to work in a comic store in the 80s, 90s. We didn't look at second prints.
Yeah.
You know what the very first second print I ever bought was? I don't know if you guys remember this. The only one that I ever was excited about until the Captain Marvel 17 was the Superman Man of Steel 17 second print. That was the only one that I was excited to get, because at my shop in Oklahoma City, New World at the time, they sold out of Superman 18 immediately. I mean, they didn't order enough. They had no idea what was coming with the Death of Superman stuff. So the only way that you can't just go online and reach it like, back in early 90s or whatever. You literally had to wait for the comic to come out and read it.
Yep.
And then the previews and everything came out telling you about Doomsday coming. So I wanted to see that first appearance of Doomsday. So the very first second print I ever bought was that Superman Man of Steel 17. Which, if you remember, that was the one that shows the very first, well, not his hand coming through, but when the pod actually lands.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, that Captain Marvel 17-second print blew up.
Mm-hmm.
And can y'all think of any others that, honestly,
well, I think the most recent one that I can recall is that third print, the Null. You know, had that interior page in Null.
Oh,
with him on the with him on the throne.
Yeah, him on the throne. That was the last one that I remember kind of blew up.
See, and that makes sense
that
because I didn't either.
I love that cover. I don't know why.
Yeah,
really?
I do.
I'm one of the
I
guys
don't
that
know.
doesn't
I
like
mean,
the
but the
interior
cover
art
A is
either.
really nice too, I thought.
The cover A is very like forward. I thought, yeah, it was a really nice concept. The interior art, like second and third prints, they're interesting because I feel like they're good art and it's different, but it's still interior. So it's not like different, like Trey was saying. There's no like differentiation, even though it's different. Yeah, yeah.
Lazy, man. It like, you know, as comics being a creative process, doing a cover using interior art, that's not the artist or the creative team being part of that. That's editorial coming in and saying, we need another print. Right. Oh, that's the cool page. Slap it on.
Yeah.
Put the trade dress, go to print. Yeah.
I love
but the second princes I used to F with the Cry for Dawns. The second they gave you different art. Like you're saying, Trey, they gave you different art. And if you were a Linsner fan back then, yeah, it was new, man. That was new. That was spicy new stuff.
Dude, that takes me back, dude. Cry for Dawn.
As a young teen, man. As a young teen, those are really spicy.
100%. Well, 78 Points was talking about baseball before we got on the cast. So congratulations to your team, my friend. Shohei's going to be a Mariner next year, so there's a little bit of me cheering for him.
It's going to be a Dodger.
Oh, he's going to be a Dodger. But I
bought a Shohei card the other night.
You did? Nice. I hear we'll do a solo layout real quick. There it is.
There we go.
We were talking before the show. It is nice. You know who had you remember how shitty the Great Britain uniforms were? they were YMCA level bad.
Yeah, dude. That's funny.
Who the other one? The Colombians didn't look like theirs were.
Venezuela had some pretty bad ones.
For the World Cup, for the Soccer World Cup.
No. The World Baseball Classic.
Baseball. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah. So now with just kind of baseball season coming, minor league baseball season coming to a close or whatever. Spring training. We got opening day, one of my favorite days of the year, coming up this week, correct? Yeah, is it Thursday?
Yeah, this week.
Yeah. So I kind of Ralph kind of mentioned this, was it yesterday or the day before? But just vault making the roster for the Yankees, which was huge. But I was actually following Jordan Walker a little more. I'm a Cardinals fan for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, so Jordan Walker, he's been labeled like Pujols 2.0. He made the roster this year. He was a 2020, 2021 prospect. I think that's what his rookie is. I found out about him last year. He was a top 100 prospect, and I just kind of followed him. But interesting to see him make the roster. He's a potential National League rookie candidate as well. So it'll be interesting to see his card kind of fluctuate. We'll see how he does the first month or two coming up this year. And then Ralph, we've been talking about Jason Dominguez ad nauseum, but people are sleeping on Volt, man. And he made the roster. So yeah, you broke that news yesterday or the day before, I believe, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure if you guys saw the video. They kind of it was kind of like a secret hidden camera, and they're playing it off like he was going to get sent down, and Brett Boone let him know that he made the team. It's a pretty cool moment. But I mean, now that he's made the team, he's a start. I'm not sure if he's going to start, but he's in New York. The lights are going to be on him. I I mean, I thought Jason Dominguez was going to get to the bigs before he did, so the roles kind of reversed. So the pressure is going to be on. He's performed in spring training, but spring training pitching versus big league pitching is two different things. So we'll see how it turns out for him.
Didn't he beat out? I mean, he beat out Oswaldo Cabrera, right? Who was
Yeah,
another
he did.
highly rated prospect. I mean, like 3 years ago, people were gobbling up those Cabrera cards like Pac-Man.
Yeah. And shoot, who's their shortstop currently right now? I forgot
Gleyber
his name.
Torres?
Yeah. So like what's gonna happen with him?
I
Right?
think,
Fucking Cubs got rid of him for a reason.
I mean, it's still not off
Yeah.
the table that they trade Volpe, and bringing him up could be kind of to kind of put him in the window shop to potentially trade him. But
Really?
yeah, I mean,
Huh.
because like Trey said, they have Gleiber and they have Volpe. They can't play both of them. So
Do you think they're going to do that? Do you think they're basically just going to have Volpe, pinch hit, run, just basically get used to the big leagues and see if, those other two are hitting the ball, and if not, he gets a chance. And
I mean,
June.
if you're bringing up Volpe, I think you bring him up to play. I don't think you bring him up to watch from the bench.
That's what I
You know
thought
what?
too.
You know what's funny is every time I see these hidden camera videos from spring training, I pray one of these kids does a fucking Rick Vaughn. And it's like, you send me down, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna shove it up your ass. You know what I mean? It's just something like that, and just I like that kind of fire. But they always tell them too soon.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, I bought Volpe on the dip in December because I don't know if you guys know, but so Dominguez, rookie, obviously in 2020. Also, Volpe was the other not just Yankee, but other prospect to look out for in that set. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I have high hopes for him, not so much the Yankees, but yeah, I hope he has a good career.
I mean, personally, with all these guys, I think it's just Jordan Walker and everybody else. Jordan Walker is head and shoulders above all the prospects that got their call up yesterday or today. One guy that I did mention was Oscar Colas. I think he might be a sneaky play for AL Rookie of the Year with the White Sox.
Dude, the White Sox are loaded. If they can ever, I mean, if Roberts can come back and hit like everyone has assumed that he can hit, and then Abreu,
Tim
Anderson. I mean, they're loaded, and they made a decent run at the end of last year. They didn't quite get to but man, there's so many. That's what I love about baseball is that team. It's like Baltimore. Baltimore's been a shithole for the last decade, and they have 5 of the top 25 prospects in baseball coming up.
Yeah, and Oscar Colas isn't his card
He's a
isn't
lefty too.
Yeah, I mean it's not. I mean it's affordable.
That's not bad for a fucking refractor auto for $300. That's usually a $600-700 card for a high-end prospect. This rate.
Well, I got outbid, so oh well. I'm just
Bird's in it real time.
I'm just trying to show examples of what this show is all about, everybody. This is what everyone else should be doing on the background. I'm just kidding.
This is what we all do in the background. We just don't show
Have eBay.
on the
Yeah,
main.
we all got my eBay over here.
Sorry. Trey, what is Big League Baseball about, man?
Oh my God. I saw this. I'm gonna say I got this from the Instagram page Slab Stocks, which is one of the bigger high-end, sports card content. They announced that they are getting an insert in this set along with 5 other influencers. One of them, like I said, being Aaron Nowak of Slabstock, Ryan Johnston of Card Collector 2, Stephanie Garcia from Mama Breaks, Tim McHenry from Slabstrong, and this is the one that pisses me off. The 5th and final one is Jeff Wilson, a.k.a. the sports card investor. The same guy that got called out for his PPE bullshit and a bunch of other things that went on during the pandemic. And it just drives me nuts that these asshole breakers and people like that are getting cards and shine. I mean, I don't know, you guys, I don't know if you saw what happened on Whatnot this week about the breakers getting caught.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I saw that.
not-
The guy that took the card off the screen.
The downtown?
Yeah.
There was a guy
Right.
that Whatnot, my favorite fucking company in the world, bunch of piece of shits running it. But they had a breaker that multiple people had told them that was a scammer. But guess what? Whatnot decided to put the spotlight on him anyway. I'm not going to say his name. It's not all you got to do is you can do a Google News search of Whatnot and scam, and it comes up. But in the Donruss packs right now, these downtowns are basically like a mini Kaboom from the Paninis. And they're, depending on whatever it is, it's a $300 to $500 card. Well, he opens the pack, and you can see that the last card in the pack is a gold downtown, and he takes the card off the screen like this.
Yeah.
And then he goes over and picks up a holder to put the card that was in front of it in a holder, and that card right behind it was completely gone. And this was a break that someone had bought in and bought a team and deserved to get that card. Thankfully, the live audience caught his ass. Whatnot's apologized and the whole fucking 9 yards. But I hate.
Right? Wasn't he talking shit to the people that were calling him out?
Yeah,
he said,
you're
yep.
not going to see that.
That's
You're
crazy
not going to.
part.
No one's going to see that. Yeah, no, it's bad.
That was
It's
awful.
just,
It was so
I
obvious.
I hate it when Tops and people like that give some. And here's the thing: you can Google you can look up the Jeff Wilson stuff. Sports Card Radio, when we were on the old Brian's channel, he highlighted it. But I mean, they talked about it. He threatened to sue him. I mean, if you say anything about it, he says libel. It's one of his favorite fucking words. But I just hate it that they get the shine and the spotlight for doing things the wrong way. And I don't know a lot of those other people. I don't know Mama's Breaks or anything else like that. But it's just like, that's not a talent to open fucking cards online. It's not.
Yeah.
They don't deserve to get a variant. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Maybe I am an asshole, but
It's just weird. It's just I don't know, whatever. But well, cool. Thanks, Trey and Ralph. But
you're welcome, Ferdberg the nerd.
I kind of dumbed it down to Ferdberg, just Ferdberg.
Oh, my bad. You just
It looks Ferd nerd. I don't know about
Ferd nerd. Ferd nerd. Yeah. Never mind.
hey, Ferd nerd.
Yeah, you like us like that? I can keep it.
It works. It rolls.
Short
Ferd
and
nerd.
sweet. Just like me.
I think I need the backstory for that nickname.
One day I'll tell you guys. But you're not here to listen to me talk, especially this episode. You guys are here to talk to Mr. 78, 7 to the 8 points of articulation, my friend.
Yeah. It's that time. Yes.
We're gonna add you to the stream, and you can take over the controls, my friend.
Well, thanks to Trey and the guys inviting me on. Trey was one of the guys in the group that really was vocal and supporting, and I appreciate that a lot. And asked me to come on. To be frank, I was like, "What do you want me to come on there for?" I was like, "Okay, just maybe showcase some photos and my process and things like that." So I made a selection of some of the photos. I kept them somewhat in groups, so we got the Marvel stuff and some DC and then some obscure things.
Cool.
But my main thing is I try, when I take my photos, I usually try and find inspiration from the comics, or like a moment in the comics or something like this. So this is a bit of a mashup. We got the Reavers, and then we got some of the more recent Sentinel things going on there, from the recent.
Dude, I got to interject. I got to get a backstory on how you started, why, I mean,
why?
Like this. Here's what's cool about that. I found you through Paul Wiederholder.
Yeah,
He's a big action figure guy.
Yeah.
And he kept putting your shit in his stories, and I was like, I couldn't just. I was like, how is he doing this with action figures and the sets and everything? And then every 3 days, you would just keep posting cooler and cooler content with the backgrounds and the way you pose the figures. And I just want to know. I really don't know because I haven't asked you. Is what made you get in? I mean, you said you've always been into comics and stuff, but this is such a unique niche.
It was the pandemic, you got extra time, and work was slowing down a lot. Architects' work slowed down a lot in parts of the world, and yeah, I had extra time, and I was always into action figures. As a kid, it was the GI Joes were the big thing because they were heavily articulated compared to before that was Motu. And growing up in Japan, we had those 5 points of articulation kind of Ultraman figures, those rubber guys. Yeah. And then GI Joes came out, and then I've always messed with toys and comics, and I just would collect them, and like statues kind of thing. And one of my friends was like, "Oh, you should, your extra time start taking photos." And I was like, "Nah, really?" And I just started having fun with my phone, just taking photos, and they looked kind of crappy. And then, as an architect, I was like, "All right, let's start doing some backgrounds, some dioramas." And I started fucking around, making dioramas, buying dioramas, studying how people make them. And I'll get into it later, but I work with model makers all the time, right? And some of the model makers, during the pandemic as well, their work disappeared. And so I was like, hey guys, how about if I design stuff, we work together, and we can start creating a product. So I sell dioramas as well. Like every 2 months, I'll release a dio. And it's geared towards photographers, toy photographers. But yeah, but also for display. So they fit into your details, the display cases. In terms of, my equipment's all out of date. I'm using a DSLR that I got on the weekends. Way back in the day, I used to do like event documentation. So like for exhibitions, conferences, weddings, whatever it was. I was like a guy who did audio and visual stuff for that, just as a weekend side job. So I had a whole bunch of equipment. I had lights. I had an old camera. I was like, all right. I pulled out the camera. I know Photoshop from work. And I just started messing with it. I didn't, go to any course or anything like that. I don't feel my stuff's that amazing. There's other dudes out there who are, do it professionally. But my thing is, I always try and bring it to the comics, like, oh, this would be a cool scene. Well, this would be fun if it happened. Sometimes I try and remake panels or covers, but always try and also use figures and show how they can move more than just that static vanilla pose kind of stuff. So this was a fun. We all know where that's from, right?
Yeah.
That's nice. That's crazy.
So I did a little fun thing. This was using a little Photoshop there to get the blur, throwing in the little bits there. It didn't quite happen like this in the video game, but we all know where it's from, right? So.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. This was,
Oh,
I think this is one of the first ones I saw.
Yeah, I remember this one.
This is a banger.
So this is a lot of my photos also get inspired by the figure themselves. Like when I get a new figure, I just play with it. I just hold it. Like if you look at my desk, I got like 24 figures just sitting here, and I play with them. And like these came out last year, of the last 18 months. And from a Japanese company, a small company called Sentinel. And the characters just have so much emotion, like, in them. They're not like Marvel Legends. And you can pose them in these kind of like organic ways, like the Peter B there. That's all. I was like, damn. And so I just did this as a setup, real simple. And in Japan, those gachapons, those coin machines, you can buy like all kinds of random things. Like, so I bought like convenience store foods stuff, props.
That's awesome.
And I was just like, yeah, let's just use it. Let's have fun. So it was fun. And to tell a story, you could see this happening. You could see this happening if they visited Japan.
Let me ask you a question. What does one of those figures cost? What you said?
All right.
What was the company?
So
name again?
these guys, because they're imports for you guys, for the States. They're imports. Everything's an import for me, so I'm always paying international shipping. The retail is about $100 plus shipping. Shipping can vary between 10 to 20, or 15 to 25 nowadays. Miles though, Miles. GameStop did a deal with this company, and Miles was available in the States for under $80, and he comes with all kinds of shit, extra heads, hands, and he went on sale. I got a second one for like $60, and it's more expensive than Legends and McFarlane, I mean, nobody does it like Todd Mack. You know, what he gives you for $20, $25 is incredible. But there's a quality here yeah.
Oh,
This is
So this is, again, Daredevil was one of the big comics that I, fell in love with in the 80s. It was one of those like, oh shit, it's not just for kids, right? The Miller run way back in the day. I was reading that when it was coming out. And the other thing I like to do is buy custom head sculpts. So that's a custom head sculpt from a local guy here in Indonesia. And I added some more blood to it. Yeah. Fall from grace, right? This was a head sculpt from a cat in the UK. I just liked the head sculpt, and I was like, all right, this is the Marvel Legends body. So it's, I use all kinds of figures. And it was just a dope, sick head sculpt. I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
I gotta say also, man, just the way that number one, obviously the way you're arranging the figures, but the angles, the lighting, the after effects that you're using, the contrast, just messing with the brightness and the dynamic use of colors. It really, I mean, these photos are amazing, really.
Thanks, man. I do try and, like, one of my gimmick is put a color background or colored lights on the background and make the figure in the front have a white light. So there's just a white light above him and there's a blue light kind of on the back right there. And then I got an orange one in the window on the right of this. This was a figure, Iron Fist, from Mezco, American company. Mezco makes some of the best cloth good 112 action figures by far. And yeah, this is one of those figures that I bought on a whim. I was like, I don't know, Iron Fist. And it was a dope figure and I loved it. I took a lot of photos of it. Yeah, and the colors are great. And they give you those really cool effects.
that's a great. How did you suspend that figure? 78.
Oh, there's Photoshop there. So I use like metal stands.
Okay.
I use metal stands and I jam them up, in their crotch, or in here it's in this belt sash, like it's hidden in there, and
I see.
Wedge it in there, and then you Photoshop it out. Yeah.
Wow.
So
what? Hey, 78. What's the average? Setup time for all this?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
So, like I said about, like, I'll be messing with the figure, and the figure creates the pose. Like, oh, there's a dope pose, and then I'll try and create the shot around the pose, unless I'm recreating something. Like, oh, there's a cover I want to do or something like that. Once I have the pose, to be frank, it's about 20 minutes to half an hour. I mean, that's from setup, taking the photo, and editing. And I've streamed in one of our other Discords to my friends and, toy collectors. Yeah. And they, I don't know, like, once you figure out how lighting works, like putting the light, there's this rule where you put 2 lights in the back corners and then one above, like the triangulation. Once you figure that out, it gets kind of easy. Like, it's like an unlock, and you're like, oh, okay, I got this. So this
Dude, my goal is to help you. That Marvel's gonna pay you to literally do a full comic with your figures, because I think it would be fucking totally badass if they did like an issue, like a Daredevil or something, where every page is a photo that you took instead of a drawing. I think that would be so badass, and I'm gonna shut up.
So, like, this thing in the background, yes, it's supposed to look like a Sentinel head, but it's actually Optimus Prime. Those the kids' masks you could buy at the toy store and just repaint it.
Wow.
That's so cool.
That is badass.
Yeah. I'm a big Hulk fan, especially the Immortal Hulk run. So yeah.
Where did you get that at? Did you make that, or is that they didn't do it? There's not a Marvel Legends Immortal Hulk, is there?
There's a Marvel Legends body there on the left. Yeah, and I bought a guy here makes soft goods, so I got him to do some jeans for Banner there. And then the head sculpts were from 2 different cats. The head sculpt on the left is from a dude in Greece, and the one on the right is a dude in Australia. And I get him and I paint him up.
Can you imagine if, like, Wizard was still around and you did those, like, submission pictures for action figures? You'd win every.
Wow.
You wouldn't be able to enter.
So we talked about Constantine before. So this is a recent figure that just came in from Mezco. Yeah. again, trying to tell a story, inspired by the comics. There is a comic cover
Awesome.
that's somewhat similar to this. All right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of covers of him being beaten up, right? So,
Yeah.
but kind of like, and then those other two figures are from NECA. What is it? Ash versus Evil Dead, that TV series that was on. So these are some of the creatures from there. A Harley, again, using the head sculpt from a dude in China. He sent it out, got my guy to paint it up, kit bashing, putting it together, trying to create something a bit unique. So, yeah. I made the money there.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. It's just printed,
Wow.
it's just simple. You just print it out, cut them up, stick it. Yeah, it just takes time. Right. I made the vault as well. The vault's pretty ghetto.
Wow.
Nah, bro, this is like next level. I see you're taking everything that I taught you and you're making great things with it. I'm glad that you listened to me.
Thanks, Marcus.
78.
He sold it. He sold it.
I mean, listen, where would you be without me? I mean, this is truly.
For real.
The t-shirt.
Shit.
Man, look.
I don't think I've seen
I
it.
just look. I was trying to keep joking, but I can't because you did this shit with the Joker. Now that is some next level shit. That is fly, bro. That is
Dude,
super
that's
fly.
so badass.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, two figures came out, and yeah, I was excited by them. They were lesser known. There are these, there's a lot of what we call third party indie companies from China that do unlicensed figures. It's in the larger 1/6 scale, it's been around for a while, but in the 1/12, it's only about 2-3 years old. And yeah, they do some amazing figures that no one else will ever do. And so, you got the Joker from the recent film and that terrible one that looks, I'm saying terrible, we don't know yet, but probably will be coming out soon. But there's Joaquin before, and then I was like, oh man, that'll be dope to have him as like the devil on his shoulder whispering. And
Have
there's
you
the
guys-
Academy Award.
Southpaw Brad, is that Photoshop, the cigarette?
Okay, so that's smoke. No, it's a humidifier.
Wow.
Wow.
So I got a really cheap $15 humidifier, and I just put it on near the foot. Yeah, and then I have
Look at the
light on
rat.
top.
Look at
Yeah,
the
the
little
rats are-
details.
Have you gotten any
the
requests?
smoke on his cigarette is Photoshop.
Okay.
Hey, 78. Have you gotten any requests for prints of these? I mean, it'd be cool to have it for,
No,
like, a
I haven't done
poster.
prints. I've worked for some folks, but no prints. No.
It
I
would be cool to get a
definitely
print of
want a
this
print.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
For sure.
shit!
Yeah.
Look at that Barbie.
that's a
Look at Marcus.
Rogue's
There's some
head there.
cake, Marcus. We got some cakes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So that was
indeed.
the arch in the background is a dio that I sold last year. The throne is actually Thanos' throne from the MCU. The first time he appears floating, some dude made that, and it was cash. I bought that, and yeah, it's Rogue's head on a seamless body down there. I got banned from a couple of groups because of this photo.
This is
Are you
actually
serious?
really,
Wow.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
I couldn't-
This is crazy. I don't think I can mess with anyone back in the day, like women in the Conan Barbarian day, because they ain't have nothing to wipe their ass with. Just, so they sitting there like that. It's shit all up in there. Just she's sitting there half naked.
There's
shit flying
creeks
out her
though,
ass.
man. There's
I've
creeks.
never
You
once
can
thought of
go-
that ever.
I know.
Oh man.
Only
Oh,
Marcus.
Never crossed my mind.
I don't know nothing. She ain't got no tissue.
They didn't have any bidets. They didn't have any bidets in Conan's day. Huh,
Yeah,
Marcus?
they ain't had no.
Oh shit! The Bad Batch. Is that Ezra?
That's cool.
Yeah, that is Ezra.
So
Wow.
it's Ezra, yeah. So the Rebels,
Dude.
I love the show, but the figures that came out were kind of shit. So the three guys in the middle, so you got Ezra, Sabine there, and I replaced their heads and did a little group shot.
Dude, that
Isn't
looks
there like some kind of
amazing.
variant of this one where Ezra has the helmet on and there's one where he has the helmet off? And like one's more valuable than the
I
other?
to be frank, I used to do minting card variant collecting. I gave up, man. So I haven't paid attention. I just I don't mind buying loose figures, if it saves a buck. So I'm sorry, I haven't kept up with that. But that's his helmet on the right there.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
did come in the pack. Yeah. And I also do, not just comic book stuff, but that's the game there. Death Stranding, anime on the right. And then I like also these, there's, kind of like designer toys, right? There's a lot of now this crossover happening where designers are getting into the more articulated action figure world. And so this is a Chinese company using a Japanese artist created this kind of weird robot dude, salary man. It's lots of fun. Anime, it's still a big thing. I grew up with it, so
That's hard.
Yeah,
that
that is really good.
Is that
running away
Bulma?
from some-
Is
Yeah,
that a
it's
Bulma head?
man. It's Bulma's. It's a Bulma dragon figure. I didn't do anything to the figure. It's just from a stock figure. Yeah, running
Are
away
those like
from-
iRobot things in the back?
There kind of are. It's again from that Japanese company, Sentinel. They made these kind of generic army builders, and there's a female and a male. They're called synthetic humans, and they're kind of like that company. They did that as a showcase of how good they could engineer figures, like how they could move so well. And they were like the bleeding edge for a couple years. And everyone's kind of adopting all the articulation points and the engineering now. This Bulma was dope. I loved it. I loved her outfit when I fuck with the original Dragon Ball. I don't mess with Z and stuff like that.
Dude, you don't like Super?
When that came out, I wasn't watching it like weekly, so I was already into other things, skating and stuff like that, and drinking and girls and whatnot. So I have.
I respect that answer.
Yeah, didn't quite grab me. I also do head sculpts, so I again collaborate with a local dude, with a painter. I help design them and take the photos and sell the head sculpts. So Alex Ross's Batman. We got the two versions of the stoic face and then the gritting teeth. We tried to do a Superman one as well.
Wow.
An old
Tried my ass. You nailed it.
Yeah, I like it, but the market hasn't responded. So all right.
No, bro, those are hard.
And then one of the things I noticed was from there's been a lot of Dark Knight, like the Frank Miller Dark Knight figures, and there's one scene, of course, the Batarangs in Joker's eye, and we didn't get that head, so I made that. Yeah. And as I mentioned, I make dioramas. So I started it as a whim. Some dudes I started getting messages like, "Hey, where'd you get your dioramas? Where'd you get them?" I'm like, "Well, I'll kind of make them." So we did a back alley. We did a Tatooine Star Wars one. We did one for the mythical creatures, an archway. Kind of did a cyberpunk one, which I may revisit again because not quite fully happy with this. Did a skull cave, like for sacrificial things there in the front of the slab. I did a Japanese alley, so there's a ramen stand and we got a Japanese phone booth and stuff. We did the rooftop, which you guys have seen, and a castle door that's coming out. About 2 months ago I released it, so it's in final production. And on the weekend, just launched this, which was City Ruins. Again, a diorama that's more for photographers, so it's all loose, so everything can fall apart.
Where do you sell these?
Oh, just through my Instagram.
And how much? How much would one of these? How much
So this one, it's $165 shipped, and I ship via DHL. So I don't know. I know some of you guys are international comics, and so international shipping is kind of up there. So shipping is my highest cost, but the bigger ones, these are a bit bigger. These used to the like the rooftop. This was $300. It was just big.
Look at the water tank and the clock in the background, and look at the
all
individual bricks. I mean,
literally, the attention to detail is insane. Insane.
Are you hand making all these?
These are all handmade. All handmade.
Jesus,
crazy.
So let's talk about Let's talk about 78. I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. That's what I wanted to get into. Like when you're putting them together, like like when you're putting them together, how easy are they to put it together? Right? Like if I buy one, right? I buy one from you, got one coming to me. how easy is it for me to put it together once I get it shipped to
it's
me
just-
after I pay you?
Well, like, I mean, here, I'll grab them. I'll grab them.
I want to, hey, 78, I want to buy one from you and give it away on the Discord. Whenever your next one that you have for sale, I want to buy one and I want to put it up for as a giveaway in the Discord.
Yeah,
That's a great idea, man.
That's a great idea. Like these are so insane, bro. But I think that's a real solid question. Like, I spend my money, right? And somebody want to put together a toy or put together something following, 78 points, right? How hard is it to put this shit together once you get it, once it comes to me?
So that's the roof.
That one right there is so bad. I mean, look at the air conditioning vents. That's the thing is like, I mean, just the little, the rivets.
Yeah. So it's all loose. It's just loose pieces. The fire exit. So this was, you can see it's 4 or 5 pieces of card just put together. They just clip in.
Wow.
Are you spray painting all these pieces, or
a lot of them are spray paint, and like I do a dark black wash underneath first. This is actually a cigarette tin.
That's badass.
Yeah. Yeah. This is all made from like a thick cardboard, and this one's a bit trickier. It's just they slot in. You can see there's a slot on the side there. It slides in. But to the actual diorama itself. So.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So this is just
that's crazy.
Foam. So you get a base, and then there's that, and it just slides in.
Dude, that's
that's it.
Is that a T3i? Is that your camera's a T3i?
Oh no, it's a Canon a 5D Mark III.
Oh, that's a good one. That's still a good one. I was curious. I know you said you had an old DSLR, but I mean, your photos look like they're in fucking 4K.
Yeah, if you zoom in, like I do Photoshop it, but like I'm getting a lot of dead pixels now, things like that. But so I usually with these diodes I do a very limited amount because my thing is don't want to saturate the market. Taking what I know about from comics and that I do one run, that's it. So once it's sold out, once I hit my 20 units or whatever it is, that's it. And then you got to keep them hungry to come back for the next one.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't have a store, like a permanent, add to cart kind of store or anything like that. Yeah. I'm all the way out in Indonesia. So you can, I'm Japanese American working out here for now. Yeah.
Well, man, that was
Dude, that is
phenomenal. Great stuff. Thanks for that presentation, man. We all really appreciate it.
My pleasure, man.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Hey, 78. Just while we're talking about toys, real quickly. I know you're big into a lot of the designer toy stuff. Can you tell us about some of the stuff that you kind of got you started in that realm, and what your favorite pieces are?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, I would still be calling myself a skater if I still had my knees, but I skated a lot, and I was into graffiti and hip hop as a kid, as a teenager, and that, whether it was While You Were Sleeping magazine, 12-ounce Profit back in the day, introduced you, and then getting into music, through Moax, and traveling to Japan every year as a young kid, seeing my grandma. Then you get exposed to Bathing Ape, Supreme, chocolate industries further on, and you got into the street art as well. So the birth of Cause and all those dudes, Costas, they were all coming up then, and like way back then, you'd bump into Brian on the streets of Tokyo and have a chat with him because he was just a dude,
That's
You'd
crazy.
see him in the middle of the night, ripping out. He had the special lock for the bus stops and things like that, Yeah, and so I got into a lot of that as well. I bought a lot of stuff back then. So I got some, like I was showing off, flexing to Vinny. This is like Costa's first pieces that he made for sale, where he just recast, I think, some sort of Marvel Masterworks thing, or made it smaller, and then put his stamp, and then each one was hand spray painted. The bear bricks, I used to all the Fujiwara bear bricks. I used to mess with all of them. All the Futura stuff, the skating and the music. Me and one of my friends, we started doing gigs, like DJing gigs, and we'd bring artists from overseas to Australia. So we brought like the Scratch Perverts. We brought Peanut Butter Wolf to Australia. He was for the first time, and all these dudes way back in the early thousands. And when we did the Scratch Perverts, who were on Moax, and this is before Futura had his falling out with them, I hit up Futura, and he did artwork for us for the flyers.
Really?
Yeah, and like I said, like I was like, hey, I want to pay for this, and he's like, nope, it's on me, man.
That's crazy.
He's supporting the scene, and then later on when he came out to Australia, I introduced myself, and he remembered, and that was just awesome, man.
That's nuts, man. Yeah, I mean, I remember he's gotten really huge now. I went to I was at Art Basel, I think last year, kind of waiting for him to do a signing, and people were just waiting out there since 10 a.m. and I think he got there at like 2 p.m. and it was just crazy, man.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, like I remember going in New York, going to their old store, the Project Dragon store in New York, and their stash working the counter. That's how it was. It was just everyone's, and that was And then when Futura, he's like, oh, don't call me that, call me Lenny. And so we hung out, chatted. And Australia it's a small place, right? So whenever anyone comes, we get to meet them, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I used to mess with it a lot. Like I used to buy all the Medicom stuff.
Nice.
I guess one of the things that pulled me out, sorry to say, was the Dunnies. And that just it felt too much of a cash grab.
Got it. Kid Robot stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like some of the Kid Robot stuff, they had like this integrity, but when it got to the Dunnies, like I don't know, like it just lowered the level a bit. And then you got a lot of guys that started doing like remixes of the Dunnies,
Yeah.
And then it just diluted, and then you got dudes out here who do fake. I call them fake because it's like it's okay to be homaging something or be inspired, but when you're just ripping off someone's hand styles or something like that, it's like nah.
Yeah, I think for me,
like Michael Lau,
Yeah,
there's so many versions of Michael Lau now. It's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I think Kid Robot for me lost it a little bit when they started doing too much of the licensed stuff.
Yeah.
They just started going crazy on the licensed stuff. They got acquired by NECA, and you didn't get those like I don't know if you ever saw like the Crink mailbox. Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Crink is a graffiti artist, has his style where he does like a drip with like he just does like a drip, right? And
he made a special bootleg pen, like he made those, and he actually sold them like handmade by him. He used to sell them. Yeah.
So he did this mailbox like a mailbox you'd see on the street, and it had like the dripping lines going all the way down, and that's like one of my favorite Kid Robot pieces. But you just don't see stuff like that anymore. It's just it's gotten a little bit too mass produced.
Exactly. And then there was a bit of that, like it was a special thing to get a Kid Robot or a Medicom, like a collaboration with an artist, like it meant something.
Mm-hmm.
And then even with Medicom, like there's a fucking StockX bear brick. It's like, nah, guys, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's like yeah.
I don't know if you guys, I made this out of Play-Doh. I'm a little bit of a creator myself. I did not. I was bullshit. I have zero
Vegeta's your guy, right? Vegeta's your guy.
He is. When I was in college and first started smoking pot, I would get home. I worked. Well, damn, Marcus, you act like you ain't never. Don't get fucking high and mighty on me all of a sudden. Like I'm. Anyway, like I was saying, I used to work.
I've never smoked pot. I'm just say no to drugs. Go ahead, Kerry.
But I would I would work for my dad, who was a bricklayer. So I would labor after college. I would go make cement, pick up trash, do brick shit. And I'd always be sore as hell. So I'd smoke. And then that was when it started coming on Cartoon Network, the original Dragon Ball series. And I'll just remember every day I was more excited about a Dragon Ball episode than school, than work, and anything. And true story to my dad, he's still mad at me about this, but I faked being sick the day that Goku transformed into a Super Saiyan because I knew I looked at it and I knew that the timing wasn't going to work out just right. So I told my dad that I didn't feel very good. And then he came over and saw that it was a whole bad situation. But I was not going to, because you know exactly. I guess you didn't watch Dragon Ball. You said you're not a Dragon Ball Z guy, but the Namek saga is literally like 100.
I've watched it, but I didn't watch it when it was coming out.
So I invested all my time into that fucking Namek saga, and I was not missing the payoff. It was not gonna happen. So, and then like I said, I just kind of liked Vegeta's arc. I kind of liked the whole way that he was the main villain, and then kind of fell in love with Bulma, and then kind of slowly over the last 20 years has turned into a semi-decent individual. It's kind of what my hope in my life arc is myself. I'm hoping about 20 years I'm gonna be decent instead of evil, but.
It's something I don't like the Z stuff. It's just I grew up with the original Dragon Ball, and it's such a transition from little kid Goku to Son Goku and all that. It's like these aren't. In some ways, they're not the same story.
Yeah.
Well,
cool, man. Are you down to hang out with us for a little bit?
Yeah, I'm on, man.
Cool.
I got to bounce in an hour, but apart from that, I'm all good.
Okay, well, Marcus and Vinny are gonna take over this segment. So kick us off, bro.
So listen, I wanted to talk about Levi's, right? Let's start with Levi's and how they're starting to use AI to sell their clothes. So now when you go to the Levi's website, the models that you see on there are AI. They're using AI to supplement human models. The brand behind the iconic and ever popular Levi jeans announced a partnership with LaLaLand.ai to test customized artificial intelligence generated models. Levi said that later this year, it will explore ways that AI integrations might be able to complement human models with a primary goal of increasing diversity. So what's actually getting ready to happen? Skynet is about to be online. Get ready for it, people. AI models, modeling clothes. Levi's is first to the line to do some stuff like this. What are your thoughts?
I don't even know what to think.
Yeah. I ain't bought a pair of Levi's in 30 years.
So I stand in front of something and then it does something?
No, like if you go online right now, the models that you're seeing on the Levi's website are AI generated.
I mean, does that really even doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose? I mean, aren't you trying to see how it looks on an actual person? I mean,
yeah.
And they're speaking about it from a place of diversity. Like we want to have AI art diverse, diversified.
They're the new, are they?
Yeah,
so we're on to that now. They need their rights.
Shit. Absolutely. We're headed to that level, right? It's gonna be funny.
It's weird. Like a few years ago, because I work in my architecture is to do with commercial retail, so I do a lot of shopping centers, and I always research what's going on around the world. And a few years ago, Alibaba, they were rolling out not AI exactly, but what do you call it? A VR kind of thing. So when you went into the store, you had your garments that you wanted to try. There was no change room. You'd get scanned, and then they would show you what you look like in the clothes in front of you as a full scale screen, like 1-to-1 size.
Wow.
So you could just put the clothes in front of it, and it would just change. It sounds like Levi's heard that and then didn't understand it or something.
Yeah, and they running with it. Well, I think it's just interesting to say the least that that AI artificial intelligent models will be modeling clothes.
Man, I saw something crazy. I saw something also crazy today. It said there's a company that is working to generate AI based on the images that you make in your head.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
What?
it'll
Future.
show somebody like the picture of like a forest or something, and then it'll study that. I don't know how they get the brainwave activity, and then it'll recreate. AI will recreate what they've seen on the screen. It is
That's crazy.
freaking crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then
Hey,
they were
speaking
talking about like the negatives of it and how people could just be judging you based on your brain waves. And I was like, oh my God, this is going too far.
Wow. So your brain waves are going to be exposed. So, so let's say, you're down low, you're in the gym and, you're looking at this guy working out and like the brain waves will be, man, he has some very nice legs, but oh my God, I'm caught. Like, it's like that kind of stuff.
How did we get there? How did we get there?
I'm just saying, this is where it's going to happen.
Yeah, but how is that the just saying story?
I mean,
I'm at the gym looking at a guy's legs.
Hey, I'm here to let you know, you never know what's going to come out of my mouth, brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at you right now. I'm looking at you with lust in my eyes right now. We're here.
Man.
That's it. I'm an equal opportunist, buddy.
Speaking of AI, did you guys know that I got accepted to that Google Bard experimental AI?
Yeah. How's that been?
It's good. I was gonna say, I think you guys know, but I mean, we ask, why does Vinny Kumar think he's better than Marcus Ekby?
He might have.
And I'm not sure. Look at the reasonings. He might have a higher GPA or SAT. He might have more extracurricular activities. He might be better reputation.
He doesn't.
I don't know, man. AI is saying it. I don't know.
There's more. However, it's important to remember that everyone is different and there's no one right way to be successful. Marcus Ekby might be better in some areas than Vinny. But the fact that it fucking answered that question scared the shit out of me, to be honest with you. This AI stuff's getting out of hand and getting out of hand quickly.
And then it even gave the politically correct answer, so Marcus felt better about himself at the end.
Exactly.
I felt better about myself regardless because none of it was true. Like I am the superior one. Like, what are we talking about?
I don't know, man.
Vinny, I'm not in here with you. You're in here with me. There's a difference.
Our AI overlords think differently, so I don't know. I'm glad I'm on their good side.
Yeah, I don't know what you did. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you did. It's probably you bullied them into some shit. I don't know. Speaking of AI overlords, Sony is already jumping first to the line, right? They're going to be the first console maker to integrate NFTs into the system. Did you hear what I just said? Sony is going to be the first console maker to integrate NFTs, right? So they already filed a patent that would allow players throughout the ecosystem to transfer and use digital assets or NFTs between gaming platforms. While the Web3 space has seen a variety of crossover in terms of franchises, gaming engines like Unreal or Unreal Engine are exploring the space. There have yet to be any console makers to fully integrate the tech into their offerings. But another interesting aspect of the patent is that it mentioned cross-generational transfers of NFTs, meaning that digital assets from PS4 could theoretically be transferred to PS5 and beyond. That would create an opportunity for cherished digital collectibles to be enjoyed for longer periods of time. Sony also has laying out the framework to use NFTs that are earned as achievements throughout tournaments. So now you're going to have those kind of legendary NFTs that you can get for winning a game. You're on Modern Warfare, you win, you get a NFT. That NFT only goes to this amount of people. Then that NFT becomes, expensive. You think about it like that, right? And if you could transfer stuff from PS4 to PS5, let's say a cool ass Sonic the Hedgehog game or, something like that you used to play back in the day, you get an NFT for it. Those are the kind of things where it's starting to infect the general population. And even more so where, me and Vinny and, everybody here talks about, man, do your own research, but understand this NFT shit is coming. It's not going away. And it's only about to amplify. So, so you might want to try to figure out how to get in and figure out what you want to do. Trey is already on AI using Bard. Think about it. We're talking about Trey.
Well, here's the thing, though. But I mean, some people may roll their fucking eyes about. But do you guys remember what some of those DLCs were going for?
Yeah,
Modern Warfare?
That's
Talk
exactly
about
what I'm thinking about.
Talk
So
about
I
it.
mean, I remember my son. He was 5 or 6 years ago. He was wanting. There was a uniform or a costume for Wolverine, and then there was a couple guns and stuff like that you could only get if you ordered the game at GameStop, and you could buy the codes online and things like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that the NFT space is still so new and diverse and scary to some people. But I think that what you just said though about like if you went, you do something, say like on the old Modern Warfare. You get a nuke or something like that. That way you get an NFT. I think people would be into that. Depending
And let's
on your
talk about that.
accomplishments.
And not to cut you off, Trey, but think about that. You know how hard it is to get a nuke. Like I've gotten a nuke one time,
Dude.
once, and I know guys that get nukes, quite frequently. But once you get a nuke and you get the NFT for a nuke, and you can buy that, and or that begins to cost something, or even let's talk about this. God knows Pokemon, right? You're catching them all, and then you catch a really rare Pokemon in Pokemon Go that's on your PS5, or let's say you catch it on your phone and you're able to transfer it from your phone to your PS5, and now you have the NFT over there. It's a lot of stuff getting ready to shake.
I agree with. I think that's where it's all going. My only comment would be like it's still being developed. Like another thing, like I buy comic book tees, anime tees, and this one dude released an anime tee, and he sold a digital version for that skateboard game, Skater XL. Mm-hmm. So when you bought the physical, you also got the T-shirt on the game. So you can rock it in real life and flex to your friends online.
That's cool.
That's a good idea.
Those kinds of things. I think that's all going to start doing this, right? Vinny and I probably know about those guys who make the designer toys, and they become like those AI artificial things that you can, when you use your phone, you can see it in your room. Toddy Mac's doing that, right, with some of his figures. That when you buy the figure, you get the digital NFT version, and you can have it in your room. As we get more and more in there, man, we're going to be like, oh, I don't have a display cabinet that's here. It's going to be a display cabinet somewhere else, virtual.
Yeah, me and Vinny are
take
familiar.
it and play with it and jump into your games. Me
and Vinny are familiar with a couple of NFTs that are doing that right now. Like it's a company that you'll be able to scan your NFT and basically like touch it on top of the head, and then like it pops up in your room, and you can, and then it's also going to be updatable. Like it'll update from like the satellite come down, and there's something different each time you hit it. It's crazy.
Yeah, the Nike Murakami shoes or something, right? That's also
the artifact
right.
ones.
You're gonna get the real shoes at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Adidas and Bored Apes, right? Weren't they the first ones?
So it's all gonna start merging, blending. We're all gonna be
It's
in
very
Wall-E.
exciting. It's really exciting too.
I'm scared.
That's really cool, Marcus. I like that Sony stuff. It also, like, with the Sony being like, hey, we're going to be the first, or like we're implementing this NFT, stuff with our console. I feel it's also going to keep people like, I'm not going to buy an Xbox. I'm going to keep my PlayStation, or they're not going to leave PlayStation, or they're going to be like, forget Xbox. I'm going to get a PlayStation now, So that's a good move by them.
Yeah, just to be ahead of the curve. And I know a bunch of kids right now who are playing PlayStation 2. They want to play, Jet Set Radio. They want to play, some of these other, old school games where they can, get the achievements. So imagine getting those achievements over there now, and then you get an NFT because it's backwards compatible. And now you're able to bring that over to like all the games that you've played, and you have like coins or NFTs for stuff like that. It's just some next level shit. Next level
PS2,
shit.
Right?
Yeah, PS2.
Marcus just said PS2.
Yeah, PS2.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Jet Set Radio. Yeah.
Were they that far backwards compatible?
Don't be surprised
yet,
if
right?
they don't go back to that.
I think they will, but right now it's not there, right?
But what's happening is, 78, and this, I mean, I'm sure it's happening on your side too, and Vinny can attest. Over in the States, there's a retroactive revolution happening. So a lot of these kids are playing, they're not even playing PS4, they're playing PS3, PS2. Half my artists that I represent right now are on PS2. I got one guy right now, one of the hottest guys, in the country, like musically, and he's playing PS2. Like he won't even jump on. He'll jump on PS4 to play with his friends, but he's playing PS2. He's playing Ballers. He's playing, Def Jam Vendetta. He's playing, I mean, I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fight for New York. Like, these are the games that they're playing because, they want that nostalgic moment of when they were younger and what they were playing with. So
no, I get that.
No,
man.
it's out here.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Now, no, Vinny, I think you were talking about Gucci and Bored Ape.
Yeah. So basically, Gucci is revealed that they're going to be collaborating with Yuga Labs, which is the company that owns Bored Ape Yacht Club, and they just kind of teased it with like this, that picture of that bottle right there. But they're going to be taking an active role in the Yuga's or Bored Ape's metaverse called Other Side, and also in 10K NFT or 10K FTs. It's going to be a multi-year partnership for fashion, entertainment in the metaverse. So yeah, I mean they're going heavy. Gucci's previously collaborated a little bit. They did something with Super Plastic in the past, and they've also they've already kind of started with the metaverse stuff. Like they bought land plots in Sandbox, which is another like a different metaverse, but it looks like they're kind of really jumping in and ready to get involved with everything that's got going on. And honestly, no better property to team up with than Yuga. I mean, they're really the go-to. It's like every freaking NFT, every airdrop that they do is just like everything goes crazy, honestly. So
insane.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to be interested to see is, just these other companies that are going to jump in. I think Gucci was good with locking in Yuga, but you still got Louis Vuitton, you still got, so many other brands and so many other NFTs that can be partnered with for the future collabs of things, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like, I think this is a great start, but I also feel like we're at the beginning of what this really is about to be.
Yeah, right? And it's gonna be more of what we were just talking about, right? I mean, you're gonna be able to wear Gucci shoes and jackets and various things in the metaverse, and I'm sure that they'll have the IRL versions of it, that you can have too. So
can you imagine getting like with Invisible? Okay, so a while ago, Invisible Friends just did a thing where if you had the Invisible Friends and the Kith collab of the Invisible Friend, you would get like clothes, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was like this fresh ass varsity jacket that everybody was getting that I didn't get. I think Vinny may have got it.
No, Vinny probably did. Okay. He probably did.
Vinny got it, and he's not going to tell anybody. It's okay. I totally understand.
He did.
Vinny got it and didn't tell nobody, right? So, yeah. But like, can you imagine if they have like Louis Vuitton, or better yet, if they do a Gucci collab, and if you have the Gucci and the Bored Ape, you get like a capsule of some clothes or some shit, like some next level stuff.
That's what they think is going to happen with Louis Vuitton and Doodles, right? That's what people are speculating on. You got Pharrell involved in both. It's not unreasonable to think like that.
Pharrell is Pharrell the head of design or something at Louis Vuitton now? Is that
he took Virgil's place?
Yeah. Creative director.
Yeah. Hey Vinny, I was gonna ask you, what happened to that Snoop Dogg metaverse that he was selling fucking stuff next to his? Didn't that just go? Yeah, didn't that just shit the bed?
What was he selling? I don't remember.
Well, it was land. It was within the Sandbox.
Oh, okay.
like his next door neighbor. But I think the house sold. His next door neighbor, the house next to Snoop sold for almost $500,000.
That's what I mean. But what do you think? Do you think that person got $500,000 worth of value out of that fucking home?
Hell no.
No, but
Absolutely not.
This is speculating to like a whole nother level.
And I'm gonna say this: it's still early, y'all. Like on that sandbox shit, it's still early. Like like just on the NFT front, earlier 2 days ago, yesterday really, there was one that just took off called Nakamigos, and they're looking at that to be like the next CryptoPunk kind of thing. They're saying that the person that designed these Nakamigos were the people of CryptoPunks. So it's like it's so many variables and places and spaces for this stuff. The whole key to NFTs is getting to it before the world catches on. So him buying that house for $500,000 next to Snoop, I think he's still ahead, because ultimately, once this sandbox stuff starts to take off, because Roblox and all that other shit is actually in line to blow up. Once it goes, he's gonna make his money. He'll definitely make his money. Is he out of it now? Yeah. But if you got 500 to just throw in the wind and buy some digital property, let's just talk about that. You see what I'm saying? He ain't worried about that 500K.
I mean, the reality is he probably also bought in it crypto when it was super low, and he bought it for so much less than it sounds like he's spending. So I wouldn't.
Like I said, if you're buying digital real estate from Snoop Dogg, you also think he drinks fucking Corona too.
Trey been waiting on that. Trey been waiting to say that. I know Trey.
That was a great line, man.
And he been
anybody ever seen? Honest to God, in the last 30 years since Doggy Style or actually Deep Cover come out, you ever seen Snoop with a Corona in his hand?
No,
I ain't never seen two cats fucking. Don't mean they ain't fucking.
Come over to my house about 2 hours. I'll show you on my security cam. We got this fucking orange cat that's a fucking savage. He rapes, pillages, fights. He does everything. It's insane what goes on in my neighborhood.
Cats. Oh my
Cats.
God. I can't even.
That's the other channel. That's our other channel on the network.
Come on, Vinny. What else you got? Vinny?
I had one other thing. Just the IRS is looking to. They're actually asking.
Wait. You said the IRS?
Yeah, IRS. To possibly tax NFTs the same way as fine art. So what's interesting is they're actually asking for the public's guidance and suggestions on how to do it. So they're considering the possibility of actually doing it like fine art or collectibles. Right now, NFTs, the way they're taxed, is subject to short-term capital gains, which can be anywhere from 10% to 37% on an individual's income, but capital gains are capped at 28%. So, so they're basically just kind of seeing how to do it. I think that would probably be the easiest way to deal with it. I think if it was done the same way as fine art or collectibles, but we'll see what they come up with. It's right now. It's so hard to keep up. I mean, with how much you're buying an NFT for and selling it for, and I wish I could find the meme. There's like this hilarious meme about some dude who was buying like one NFT and selling it for cum rockets, another NFT, and then doing something else. And they're like, "What is my, what is my tax burden this year?" And you're like, "What the hell just happened?" But it was all like real stuff. So so we'll see. We'll see what happens with all of it. I think there's a lot that the IRS has to figure out when it comes to.
Wait, you said IRS?
We got motherfuckers are like Beetlejuice. They're gonna be an agent show up at one of our houses next time.
I promise. Says that. It said, you said the IRS, huh? I'm just saying shit. Oh, Jesus Christ. But you know what though? I think it works out for the people who, you buy a bunch of these NFTs and they tank, I think you can write it off. I think you can write off the loss. So it kind of balances out. But for the people that keep winning like Vinny You know what I'm saying? Vinny's in trouble. You know what I'm saying? He got all the capital gains tax. He has all the shit. It's, you know, Vinny.
He put his business out there on the streets.
Y'all go. Vinny Kumar, Kumar. I tried to call y'all, but the line was busy. Vinny Kumar, Kumar. Call him. He got it. He making all kind of money in NFTs. I tried to call y'all. I'm broke. I ain't made no money off NFTs. He got the money. That's it.
Hey Vinny, were you harvesting any tax losses at the end of the year? Were you doing any of that?
Well, yeah. So there's actually not on NFTs yet because I still am pretty new to NFTs. I mean, considering, but I used Coin Tracker, which if anybody doesn't know about it, it like basically will connect the various sites that you trade crypto on, and it'll basically calculate all that shit for you. So I used that to do it last year. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. And now if anybody's on Coinbase actually has, if you have Coinbase One or whatever that the premium service is called, they actually will include the tax software with it. So it's helpful. Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know about a good thing to use for NFTs yet though. There's got to be something that can, otherwise you got to just do it the old fashioned way and remember how much you bought it for and remember how much you sold it for, I guess.
Well, you know, one guy that's been tax harvesting a ton of losses in NFTs is Steve Aoki.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a ton. Wow. I kind of think that's why he's moving over to the vinyls, because he's taken so many L's with NFTs.
Wow.
So that's kind of his thing.
Oh, that's right. He's coming out with a grading service, right? Like he's grading cassette tapes and vinyls and all that other good
So
jazz.
he's going to grade vinyls, CDs, cassettes, and 8-tracks. I took a look at the website. It's $50 for everything minus 12-inch vinyls. The 12 inches are going pause.
Pause.
Those grade for
Sorry.
I had to throw so 8-track CDs, cassettes, and 7-inch vinyls are $50. The 12-inch vinyls, those grade for $100. I took a look at the website. Everything's up and running. There are a few question marks I have about the website that kind of not make it look sketchy, but just kind of make me wonder. So they do reference something about it. Yeah, so these are the slabs.
Checking that Iron Man out.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I haven't seen anything on secondary yet for these. So I'm assuming
idea
and abilities. Word.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's dope.
Dude, I got an idea. I got an idea in Rhyme Sayre story that I'll tell another podcast. It's unfucking believable.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So like going back to the website, they don't mention anything about the time frame, but they do mention that if you pay an extra $200, you can get something expedited in 7 days. So I guess
that's the Vinny.
Can you just go back to that first?
Yeah, I want to see that Iron Man. If you don't mind.
Yeah, I want to see how they display the vinyl. Do they pull the record
that.
out? Like, you know, or is it just
this one I don't think they have the slab for the vinyl, but they do have it for cassettes and a few CDs.
Dude, I want every single one of those, minus the Golden Arms. I don't need that one, but
they're sending in like used vinyl.
Yeah, so that you can send in used, you can send in sealed. The only thing they don't take is autographed. If it's autographed by more than 2 individuals, they won't grade it. But this kind of leads into my next question about, slabbing cassette CDs. Is that something that we really need? I understand wanting, Illmatic slabbed or the Blueprint or Reasonable Doubt, but does it? I don't know what your guys' opinion is on this as far as what you would want slabbed, the vinyl, CD,
they
cassette,
do. See, open displayed. So the actual vinyl is outside. That's cool. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people that have in the past just framed a record,
Yeah, I go.
Right.
So like, I guess, yes and no. I don't know. It's
Like the
kinda
guy
weird.
that's digging in the crates, that guy really gonna want something like this? I mean, he's got his entire record
Probably
collection. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about.
So
No,
I'm gonna say this. I think that I don't mean to cut you off, Vinny. I'm sorry. I think that it is important to do vinyl that is important to you. So like for
Right.
me, Michael Jackson Thriller, I would slab that all day. I would slab a Drew Hill record because I had, that was one of the first records that I worked. I think fans would slap Taylor Swift because they love
Oh,
Taylor
yeah.
Swift. Imagine somebody slapping Beatles back in the day. Beatles are Beatles. You know what I'm saying? So I think you're slapping what's important to you. Like if we do the Paul Walker Millionaire, Get Your Mind Correct, 25th anniversary, slabbing that because some people want to remember what that was at the time. When Trey saw ODB, he went nuts. Slabbing that record would be incredible. So I think like that's the kind of thing.
not only that though, but when you have sales of these things that are going crazy, like some of the cassettes that I've been sending you guys lately that are selling for 500, 400, 800 bucks, sealed, possibly more. It's probably a good idea to slab them, I think, right? Because anything can kind of cause a little bit of wear and tear. And it's like it's kind of like comics back in the day. Before you had grading, you just kind of relied on other people, or hopefully you were a good enough grader, but there were all types of things you can miss, like restoration and just other things that
right
probably
there
makes sense for
that's dope.
I mean, if you really
that
think about it, a lot of the 90s hip hop, the primary media, the form of media was cassettes. So
that's true.
So of those so vinyl, cassette, CD, 8-track, which of those do you think will be the go-to item?
that's tough. That's tough to say. I don't know. I think it all depends on when you grew up, and then also with these classic albums, what was their main form of, how they were actually put out. They may have only been put out on cassette first, or maybe they came at that time where CDs were more prevalent, or it's really hard to say. Vinyl obviously has had like a massive resurgence
Right.
over the last 10, 15 years, so people are already collecting that. So
Dude, 78 Points and I are going back to old school rap in the private chat. Holy shit, Marcus said, get a room. But man, back to those cassettes and stuff, Vinny, you've been picking up some fucking decent stuff over the last few weeks.
I have.
Of course. Vinny won't let anybody borrow that fucking golden horseshoe that stuck up his ass. Marcus had been trying for a year.
I tried to pull it out in Austin. Me and Trey tried to pull it out his ass in Austin. It didn't happen. It was no.
Marcus grabbed his head and I grabbed his feet, and we couldn't get that fucker out. We tried.
I tried because Vinny keeps winning, bro. I don't know. Vinny, I love you, brother, like the brother you are to me, but you keep winning and it upsets me. I just want to put it out there. It is not fair. Vinny can tell me something, bro, and then be like, hey, bro, I'm going to set it up for you to go get it too. And by the time he tells me about it, it's sold out. Like, I'll be like, I'm talking about literally he'll go buy it and they have plethora. But the minute that Vinny touches it and hits add to cart, the clock is ticking and it's sold out shortly thereafter. I'm like, you know what? I'm done playing with Vinny, so I gotta get ahead of him in that.
But Trey, I will say some of the ones I picked up recently, which I thought were kind of cool, were like Big Pun, Capital Punishment, first cassette, Gangstar, Moment of Truth, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Aaliyah, One in a Million.
The Gangstar one, was that the one that was just recently ended last week? Dude.
Look how he's
Vinny's on some sneak shit too. Vinny don't let you know what he wins until that motherfucker until that shit's shipped to him.
It's at his house, bro. Like Vinny Vinny will put something in eBay and he the one that done bidded it up. Like, he put something in the chat and he be the one that done bidded it up. So it's like, yeah, bro. Oh man, oh boy, yeah, hey, y'all gotta get this.
Joe
Look at
Budden,
him.
that
Look
first
at him.
album.
Ooh,
Oh, here,
throwback.
let's do solo real quick, dude.
Pump, pump,
Trick
pump it up.
Daddy, www.thug.com. AZ Pieces of Man. I got a Camp Low cassette over here somewhere too. The
Lucchini?
Uptown
Yeah.
Saturday Night. Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know, did you hear the story about that cover? That apparently the cover to that album, the original art was bought by Eddie Murphy for like a few $100,000, and now it's worth like 30 or 40 million. I don't know what the
No. Let's get it right. Eddie Murphy has the actual original art.
Right.
So even what you see people use, like the one, it's called the Sugar Shack, right? So like if you ever if you ever watch Good Times, it's wow, Akinelli. If you ever watch Good Times,
put it in your mouth.
If you watch Good Times and it's the picture where they all in the picture and stuff, that's a reprint, and that reprint is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But Eddie Murphy actually has the original painting. Like that's the one where he bought it for whatever. Now it's worth like 120 million or some crazy number.
Crazy.
Yeah, he has the original painting of the shit.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what's funny about? Do you guys remember Sopranos?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember the character Furio? He was the guy that was actually from Italy or whatever.
Oh yeah. The long hair dude.
There's a story where he was in like the Czech Republic or something, or Germany, and he was art shopping and bought a couple pieces for like $18,000, and in the art gallery he knew that he had something, and he made like $40 million off each of those paintings. I mean, that paint game shit is just different if you can get the right stuff.
If you know, But I don't know. I went to Goodwill. I mean, my mom went to Goodwill and bought a painting. I'm dead ass. My mom went to Goodwill, bought a painting, came back. It was like $4,000. She bought it for like 75 cents. She was like, "Oh, but see, she knows the painting game. Like, she's like, oh yeah, this is an Alexander River Road." I mean, like, who the hell is that?
Well, that's what but that's where you get your collecting and speculation shit from. You know what I mean? Your mom is up on her stuff the same way that you're up on your stuff. You know what I mean? That's what's cool about. Vinny knows about stuff that we don't know about. You know about stuff. I mean, all six of us have our own lanes when it comes to finding the things that we like, and that's what makes this show, in my opinion, it's so much fun for me to do, is to get to find out stuff like that, to get to hear stories about your mom finding a painting worth like that. And it's cool.
Nah, man, most definitely. But that is crazy. I mean, you hear these stories of paintings and people and just grabbing shit, and you see that this shit sells for crazy. Like I know Vinny just said he got a Leo 1 in a million. I can guarantee that tape is going to be worth crazy money at some point. That is an incredible album. It was a defining moment for her. God rest her soul. But like realistically, you're doing the right thing, Vinny. Akinelli, well, that's my guy though. I like Akinelli. I do. I love Akinelli. But I don't know. Akinelli, Big Pun.
Akinelli, the history is crazy though, right? He was the first one to really put Nas on a record with him.
Absolutely, yeah. Akinelli.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to bite the. I've been looking for about 3 months on getting an Only Built for Cuban Links purple tape sealed, and they're about $1,200. And I need to just bite the fuck. I need to sell some comics or something, because that's one of those grail pieces I've always wanted, a sealed purple tape.
And they reissued it, right? A few years ago.
Yeah, that's the problem. There's some reissues, and a lot of people don't. I guess I didn't know this, but I guess the first print isn't the purple tape. It's actually a regular color tape. And like afterwards, like a few weeks after the purple tape came out, I was reading something about it. So I need to do my research a little bit more before I spend that kind of money. But I would love to have all those Wu cassettes on a sealed set of all those first print, Wu cassettes from that 93 to 96 era.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Man, I'm old school. I want old Earth, Wind, and Fire cassettes. Like no bullshit. Earth, Wind, and Fire. The old like mini Ripperton, like old soul cassettes. Temptations, David Ruffin, simply because the best samples come from these tapes, and I want the originals. Like, like stuff that Kanye may have used was on this tape.
So
Eddie Kendricks and things of that nature.
Marcus, if you're going for that, for that era, I think kind of going back to what Ralph was asking, I think those would be better suited for vinyl because that's where they would have came out first.
Yeah.
You're going to be buying, reissues if they're on cassette, like Minnie Riperton and artists like that.
No. I'm saying I already have the vinyl of these. I have those vinyls already. I'm talking about I want the cassette tapes just because I feel like that's cassette tape play. Okay. But I have the vinyls on those records already.
Because when you're sampling off 12s.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You're
not. Okay, backpack. Okay, backpack.
I know. I used to dig a little bit.
I can tell.
I mean, Mark, if you want to throw your money away, that's cool. Whatever.
The golden horseshoes.
Until the tapes are selling, the old Earth, Wind, and Fire tapes and all that stuff, then you're gonna be like, oh well, who knew? That's very Oh, well, who knew?
Like, wow, Marcus, I can't believe you had that Earth, Wind, and Fire greatest hits. Man, that's crazy.
On that note,
just don't buy a greatest hits cassette.
Well, Ralph, thanks for that segment, man. It'll be interesting to watch. Like, I think it's interesting to see, like, okay, how do they grade it? Like, do they grade it if it's like clean? Do you leave the price sticker on the record or whatever, right?
So they do stipulate that if there are items like that on the cassette or on the vinyl, that you can grade it just like that.
I would prefer to have the price tag on it. Yeah, personally, I think that'd be cool.
Like, what happens if you got some old like white labels and things like that? What are they gonna do with that shit?
I didn't see anything about white labels.
Yeah, like I got like MF Doom's first 12. That was just
flex. That's a flex.
Yeah. When it was on.
I finally, by the way, I just got that image. I just got my
there's no
food.
Cover. It's just a white sleeve. It's just a white sleeve, right? So it's like I don't even display it. It's just like it looks like nothing. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I like him, MF Doom. I like him.
Oh, come on, man.
Dude,
first album, Doomsday.
Yeah, I like MF Doom.
I love that.
I do like MF Doom.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
I have a special place in my heart for Doom. That Doom Danger album that they did, kind of like the soundtrack for that Cartoon Network show, is honestly one of my fucking top 20 favorite albums of all time. Like, if I want to be happy, I put that album on. Dead serious. That song, what was the one with him and Quali? I forget what the song is called, but I mean, it's God, that whole album's good. I got some Doom shit I'll send you, Marcus. I think I might change your opinion a little bit.
Yeah, send it to me. Yeah, I was on Doom. I like him. He was cool. But send me something.
I'm on it.
Send me something.
How would beat tapes work in that? Like producers beat tapes?
I think that you can send that in. Are you talking about something that's issued or just something that is
like
there?
I got a couple of tapes when Peanut Butter Wolf came out to Australia. It was Mad Libs, and it was just beats.
They do mention something about custom.
And that was before Quasimodo came out. And he's just like, at that time he only had Lutax.
He's dropping.
He's like, this guy just does a fucking beat a day. Listen to this, and just puts it in.
So is this on a Maxell cassette or is this like an actual?
It's just a blank cassette. I don't know what.
So then it almost brings up the question: do they grade screw tapes? That would be cool if they graded screw tapes. Because it's like, you're on mute, son.
You'd have to fall under like promo or specialty cassette, probably something like that.
But do you think they would do it? Do you think that that's something that?
I don't know if they touch it now.
I think they would. I think they'd have to authenticate it. I mean, it's the same thing that like a VGA or some WADA does with these prototypes and special cartridges, stuff like that.
So that would dictate like a complete in box or something like that versus like brand new or whatever the case may be.
I think if it's a special cassette like that's been authenticated, I think that's that changes the conversation. If it's like your mixtape that you made for your like 11th grade girlfriend, then probably not.
What here's an
Is that a true story?
Hey, Vinny, what do you think about those Machiavelli bootlegs that were pressed? Those original, those first edition.
I think those could be interesting. I think white labels, you know how people used to just say F a clearance and just white label a record and put it out. I think those could be really interesting. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. I don't know if I ever told this story before, but tell me if I did. But do you guys ever remember me telling a story about Keenan and Kel from Good Burger? Back in
You did
high
tell me.
school,
You told me this story.
I might have told you. Back in high school, college, right? I was making beats, right? So, beginning years of college, I used to, my buddy and I, we used to make beat tapes, and we used to make our own cover for them, you know, and everything, like print them out, make it kind of something special. And so I was flying from Rochester, where I was in college, back to Richmond for the holiday, and I had one of the beat tapes on me. And so I get out of the plane in Philly, where I had a stop layover, and I see Keenan and Kel, right when they did Good Burger. So I see them; they're just sitting there on a chair waiting for their flight. And I started talking to them, and then Kel is the skinnier one, right? I think so. So
yes, Kel is the skinnier one.
I'm talking to them, and I'm like, what are you guys up to? And Kel is talking about how he's making his album, and I'm like, oh man, here's my beat tape, right? I gave him my beat tape. I walked away, and then like 5 minutes later, I'm like thinking to myself, I'm gonna need that beat tape when I get to Richmond, you know. So he's not really gonna do anything with this tape, let's be honest, right? So I end up turning around and asking him for the tape back. Because I was like, that's not a good use of this tape. So yeah, I ended up taking it back from him. He was completely shocked, and he was like, okay, man, and he handed it back to me.
First of all, let's start right here. You saw Keenan and Kel in the airport, and Kel said he was working on his tape, and you said, hey, I got some beats, and you proceeded to give him a cassette tape of beats.
Man, you know,
no. All I need is a yes or no.
Oh yeah.
And said he's not good enough and took the tape back. That's what he did.
Vinny's gonna be on that Good Burger 2 soundtrack.
That was the best move you did, was took the tape back. Now you redeemed yourself when you took the tape back.
You definitely did.
Oh, and then the wildest thing is, I got that same trip. I went and I was working with this group called Infectious Organisms, right? And like they were like an underground hip hop group from Richmond, Virginia. The main guy, Jean, ended up like he wrote like a bunch of stuff for Black Eyed Peas now. He went on tour with them. Now he was on the new Lil Yachty album. He was writing on that. All these crazy things now. But he went from like this underground rapper talking about pyramids and, you know, all types of stuff to writing like these big pop records. So it's just crazy, man. Just wild how some of this stuff goes.
Well, to add on to that, Vinny, your segment, man.
Nice. Let's see here. Did it start with the six? Did it start with
childhood shit?
Let me just all right, go.
All right, cool. Yeah. So you know, I've been going heavy on some of the Japanese stuff the last few episodes. I wanted, you know, I've kind of told you guys I'm all about historical sort of anything when it comes to video games. So I've been looking into for a while now, you know, some of the Atari 2600 games, also some of the PC games. So the first game I have been looking at, you know, I started looking at a while ago was Space Invaders. And, you know, if anybody doesn't know about this game, it was a 1978 shoot 'em up arcade game. It was manufactured and sold by Taito in Japan and licensed to Midway for overseas distribution. It was the first fixed shooter, and it set the template for the entire shoot 'em up genre. It was the highest grossing and best selling game in 1982. I think it was how much was it? $13.1 billion in sales, which is wild, especially for
kind of
back
money?
then. Yeah.
God.
And it also ushered in what's called the golden age of arcade video games, which started in the 80s. Sorry. So I kind of wanted to just talk about some of the prints of this, because this is something I've been tracking down for a long time, and man, I never knew the prints. If anybody's ever looked for some of these old Atari 2600 games, there are versions with blue boxes, there are versions with red boxes. I always knew the blue boxes were earlier, but I did not know that there were different versions of this. So I just thought I'd go through some of it. Oh, something else I wanted to note was a lot of the big video game creators, like that I've mentioned, Shigeru Miyamoto, who made Super Mario Brothers and Legend of Zelda and Donkey Kong. Last episode, Hideo Kojima, who did Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid, Satoshi Tajiri, who did Pokemon, John Romero and John Cormack, who did Doom, all credit Space Invaders as their introduction to video games. So this is an iconic game. If anybody also is a fine art collector, Invader, there's an artist named Invader who made a name for himself by creating this like mosaic artwork all throughout the world that looks like a Space Invader. So it's pretty cool. So if you can go back one slide.
Bad.
No problem. So all right, so the first pre-release print. I got to shout out Chris One Bit also on Instagram. He has made a whole database, like a kind of a free open database for variants. So he kind of goes through and does a lot of this legwork for people, which is awesome. And so I was able to grab some screen grabs from his Insta. So on the first release, now I don't even think it's a bad idea to collect this CIB. I think it's still going to be extremely hard to find, but on the little flaps on the inside, they're going to say 0280 on them and 0480. These started getting printed in February of 1980 and went through April of 1980, and they were actually released in shops in June of 1980. So those are the date codes. A lot of video games show the date codes along those flaps. If you look at Super Mario Brothers and a lot of those NES black box games, they all have the date codes on the inside as well. So the way you can tell a first print is on the front of the cover, it's gonna show no text right on the bottom, and it's gonna say service agreement on the back. The other thing is there are no WADA graded copies of this game at all.
Wow.
So 0. The second print, the flaps show 680 and 1080. They were printed the same year. The difference is that it now has a legal line on the front cover. It says Space Invaders is the trademark of Taito America Corp 1980. And then on the back, it has that same service agreement text on there. And there are 4 no seal copies of this second print graded. No seal meaning there wasn't an actual seal on it, but it was still sealed with glue. So the third print changes slightly on the flaps. Again, if you buy a sealed copy, you're not going to know what the flaps say, so you got to go on what the exterior of the box has on it. But the third print, 381, 581, and it has language on the front that says Atari Inc. and it's printed, and it says printed in the USA on the back.
Great.
Fourth print, it says 781, 1081 on the flaps. It says repair service text on the back. Atari Inc. printed in the USA on the back. And this one's kind of weird because it has a front copyright of 1980, on the bottom of the box, on the bottom front of the box, and then on the back it says copyright 1978, which is when the game was actually made.
Wow.
Fifth print gets rid of all the warranty box on the back. The flaps say 1281, 384. Atari Inc. Printed in the USA. It still says that on the front. But then here's another weird thing with the date codes. This is a run that went from 1981, all the way through, and it says 1978 on the front and the back of the box. And then finally is the sixth print, which was started getting printed in October of 1982. It says 1082 0384 on the tiny flaps, and then Atari Inc. printed in the USA. And copyright on this one does not say 1978; it says 1980. So there's a lot of like nuances, and all these things look almost identical. I've bought 2 copies of this, thinking, okay, I must have a first print because it's a blue box and it said 1978 on there somewhere, but clearly I probably have like a 4th or a 5th print of the sealed copies that I got. After that, Warner Communications, which owned Atari, left the video game industry, and then Atari Inc. changed to Atari Corp, and they went on to reprint Space Invaders many times for the Atari 2600, 1986, 87, 88. So there were still, that's when you kind of see more of the red boxes. So if you're looking at Space Invaders at all, a red box is totally not the way to go. You want to be looking at blue box first of all, but of course there's a lot of different printings of this. But if you look at the pop numbers, honestly, they're super low on all of them. So if you can find something sealed, I think it's still a good buy. They've historically, people on heritage auctions, for example, people were just making fun of people buying Atari games. And so people were scooping games up like this for $80, $60, $120. And I was like, no, this doesn't make any sense. Like, if you can get some of these early so-called golden age video games for $100, it's totally worth it. So, yeah.
That's really cool. When you sent me the slides today, I was like, Space Invaders, man, that's like my sisters played. But then as you're going through them, I was like, well, yeah, it is like the golden age of video games. I mean, that was like Pawn was the first game I ever played. So it makes sense, right? So
and this came right after Pong, actually. So
cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, just going into an arcade when you were a kid, Space Invaders was always there, right? It was just like one of those iconic games that was next to Miss Pac-Man or some of those other games from that time period. So Q*bert, stuff like that. So
yeah. Sweet, man. Well, that was a great segment, man. Thanks so much. That's all we got tonight. I don't know where Marcus went, but anyway, any closing thoughts, fellas?
Where did Marcus go?
I don't know. We're like almost done.
No, I ain't gonna put it. I ain't gonna do that to him.
Where's Marcus for the outro, guys? Didn't he say he was gonna do the outro today?
Yeah, I thought he had. Oh, Marcus.
Oh man.
Dude, tonight was fun. I had a blast. Literally, I learned a lot. Everything. I mean, from baseball to comics to action figures to NFTs to vinyl, cassettes, video games. I think we touched as many bases as we could as we could touch.
Yeah, the NFT.
I still every time I look at Ralph though, I can't tell if he's like literally doing like like he's working for like a telemarketer on the side, like he's just hitting pause and then like help. He's like, hold on, like, no. I can sell you that warranty. I can sell you an extended warranty. Just give me 2 seconds. All right, but no.
Oh man.
Ralph's trying to get his free steak knives.
Tonight was a fucking blast. We appreciate you guys. Like I said, we're still working on some kinks and getting everything getting everything to where it needs to be. But we appreciate every one of y'all who have taken your time to watch us and watch us on the feed, on the replays, on Rumble, YouTube, Kick, Vimeo. We're on a few of them now, so we're gonna get this a little bit tighter every week and hopefully give you guys what you want. We appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
Shout out to our
Our
5 or
guest.
6 listeners on Kick today. We got a
Yeah.
few.
Yeah.
That was
Hey,
And everyone, try and spread the word. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We enjoy doing this show. It's all. Wait, is that? Oh, 78 points, man.
Oh shit.
Hey, thanks again for joining, man.
Thanks, man. Sorry I had to bounce. I'm on my way to another meeting.
No, you're good, man.
No,
just
you need
wanted
to
to say
check
thank you very
you
much.
need to check the Discord private messages between the 6 of us whenever you got time.
Anyway, that was dope, man. That was dope. Appreciate it. Trey and I can have our own show about underground backpack hip hop from back in the day.
Dude, what's crazy is Vinny might know. Vinny fucking knows more than I do. He's being modest today.
Shit.
Look at
I remember the
78.
Anticon guys used to call the record shop that I worked at and like
That's
complain
crazy. The
and
fact
bitch
that you knew
about
who
shit.
Sage, with the Sage Francis, I tested, dude. You knew through the Anticon, he almost fucking blew my head off. And then the
Shit,
6'2"
man.
and everything else. God dang.
When I was in college, I
Yeah.
signed up to be on the street team for the Mountain Brothers. If anybody remembers that group, it was like they were
I
all-
know the Mountain Brothers. Yeah. Their first single was pretty big.
Yeah, so as a promo item, they wanted me to hand out. They sent me a big box of Mountain Brothers condoms that said for novelty use only. And I looked at them and I was like, hell no, I'm not handing these things out. And they say for novelty use only. Do they even work? Like, what are you talking about?
Shut up.
Shut up. Yeah, I'm about to get sued.
But we're teaching, that's the good thing about the show is, Marcus and myself, and now you are able to teach Marcus a little bit about hip hop. And that's what we're trying to do.
Hey, listen, I'm just
You know I
here
love you.
as a sponge. I don't know too much hip hop. I was too busy listening to Queen and Hall and Oates. So yeah, most definitely, you guys can educate me on this stuff.
I still got a bounty. If somebody lives in Houston and they're going to pawn shops, there's allegedly a Marcus verse with Chameleon there. If anybody can find it, I'll pay premium for that motherfucker.
It is a real thing. There's a song out there with me and Chameleon there. That is
I
true.
love
need
it.
that.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell it to Vinny.
I think I'm gonna make it an NFT. I think that's what I'm gonna do, Vinny. We'll make it a music NFT.
Dude, how are you driving on the
about
wrong side of the road though, 78?
On the wrong side. I know. On the wrong side, guys.
That's
This shit
awesome.
stresses me out.
Oh yeah, it's stressing me out.
He said stressing me out. You gotta love it.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks again, 78. And
Thank you.
we'll
Thank
catch you
you.
next Monday. Everyone have a great start to
Take
your
care,
week.
everybody.
Take care, everyone.